It's time for the Splash Live from Civic Center TV, featuring stories from and about people like you in the greater West Bloomfield area. Simulcast on cable, 89.3 Lakes FM, social media, and the web. Now live from Green Media Center on Walnut Lake Road, it's the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV at 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Sheff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in greater West Bloomfield. Just alongside Walnut Lake Road, work is continuing to be done on the new Chico Elementary School building, and there have been some very noticeable changes as of late. Here with some more information live outside of the Chico construction site is our very own Kevin McIntosh.
That's right, Jake. Live and outside right here. If you're driving either east or west on Walnut Lake Road here in West Bloomfield, you might have seen the changes right here next to our studios at Civic Center TV. Chico Elementary, 69 years old, no longer here. They completely knocked it down. If you can see behind me, we have excavators, bulldozers, dump trucks, all doing full work right now, getting the construction for the new Chico Elementary site going on now. We did get some information from West Bloomfield School District Assistant Superintendent of Facilities and Operations, Jamie Stoudemire, who told us that earlier in the year, the footing in Area A has been done. That's the far west side of the property right near where I am. Then they also informed me, as you can see behind me, that the masonry wall has been up. The masonry wall for the building is up right now. They're continuing work on that as well. So they're also putting in a road. We'll make it easier for construction to get done, dump trucks, excavators to get around, as well as patrons when the school does open up. So we're just still waiting. The school is scheduled to open fall of 2026 still, so it's still on schedule as of right now, pending the weather as well. So as we get more information, more updates on the brand new Chico Elementary School, we will keep you updated. Back to you, Jake.
Awesome. You can see behind you, Kevin, everyone is hard at work. I can hear the construction crew already moving on to the next stages of completion. Let's let them get back to work. Thank you so much, Kevin, for this information.
Thank you, Jake.
Absolutely. All great things outside, just alongside Walnut Lake Road, as the new Chico Elementary School is getting closer and closer to completion. The 48th District Court will be holding a late fee forgiveness program beginning on May 1st until June 13th. The court will waive late fees, bench warrant fees, and penalties for civil infraction cases that were issued within the jurisdictions covered by the 48th District Court. This includes the cities of Birmingham, Bloomfield Hills, Keego Harbor, Orchard Lake Village, Sylvan Lake, and the townships of Bloomfield Hills and West Bloomfield. For assistance in determining eligibility and the total amount owed, individuals should contact the court at 248-686-5150 or 248-686-5148, Monday through Friday between 1:30 and 4 p.m. Calling all art lovers, Art Leaders Gallery in West Bloomfield is showcasing the talent of Oakland County high schoolers with its 2025 Young Artist Scholarship Competition. Now through April 25th, the top 100 student artworks are on display at the gallery, selected by a panel of professional jurors. Visitors can cast their vote for their favorite piece during the exhibition. Then on April 26th, from 6 to 8 p.m., the winners will be announced at a special reception. First place is going to earn $1,500 in scholarship funds, with second and third place receiving $500 and $250 respectively. Since 1992, Art Leaders has supported both emerging and established artists, and this is your chance to help elevate the next generation. See more on their Facebook at Art Leaders to learn more. Throughout any community, even in a safe community like West Bloomfield, it never hurts to be prepared. Civic Center TV's Kevin McIntosh visited True Martial Arts at the Orchard Mall to learn more about their adult self-defense classes and why residents are signing up not just for safety, but also for confidence, fitness, and even team building.
Greater West Bloomfield has been considered one of the safest communities in the state of Michigan. Here at True Martial Arts West Bloomfield, local residents come to learn self-defense and build camaraderie. I stepped inside to ask why the martial arts classes are good for team building and why it's beneficial in a safe community.
Well, I mean, it is a safe community, but you do travel all over, and even in safe communities, things do happen, and it's good to be prepared, especially as a parent. You just never know what's going to happen, and it gives you a sense of confidence. You can just face whatever's going to happen.
What could be more important than knowing how to defend yourself, right? We talk about how martial arts builds confidence in people, and there's a certain brand of confidence that's built through self-defense training, knowing that you can walk through life and that even if you don't have all the tools to defend yourself, that you have some.
Although the classes were meant to teach individuals how to protect themselves, current students and members tell us how it can be a great team-building exercise as well.
It's so much fun. It really is. And you get to meet and work with new partners on a daily basis. And we get the opportunity to explore how each other works and our technique and what we're good at, what we're bad at. And as a result of all of that, it helps to build team building 100% across the line. And our instructor team here is amazing.
Big part of this is like sort of common bond through like sacrifice. So you come in, everybody's working to their limit, sweating, they can't go any further. Other people around you are in the same situation. So coming through that together on the other side, like you just have that natural bond because you know that they went through the same thing you went through and kind of pulled each other through it.
Besides the combat and camaraderie, Greater West Bloomfield residents take away more than just the skills for self-defense at True Martial Arts.
I am definitely in much better condition than I was before I started. I feel like I'm a lot stronger. I'm a lot more confident in myself and my ability, and it does help keep me in very good shape for things outside of class, just taking care of your home or your parents or your children.
Although local residents feel safe in their own community, it's clear people have a bit more security knowing how to protect themselves. So if you or your colleagues need an activity to build skills and relationships, True Martial Arts West Bloomfield should be an option. From the Orchard Mall in West Bloomfield, I'm Kevin McIntosh, Civic Center TV.
Whether it's for personal protection, stress relief, or bonding with coworkers, adult self-defense classes at True Martial Arts are offering more than just physical skills. Big thank you to Kevin McIntosh for bringing us that story here on the Splash Live. Mark your calendars because Saturday, April 26th is National Drug Take-Back Day, a chance to drop off any expired and unused prescriptions in a safe manner. Disposal sites will be available at the West Bloomfield and Orchard Lake Police Departments. Zena Daly of the West Bloomfield Police Department recently came on the Splash Live to tell us all about the initiative. Officer Zena Daly with the West Bloomfield Police Department. Zena, good morning.
Good morning, Jake. How are you?
Really good. Always a pleasure to have you on the show with us. Can you explain what National Drug Take-Back Day is and why it's so important for communities like West Bloomfield?
The DEA holds this National Take-Back Day twice a year. It's usually in April. This year is April 26th from 10 to 2 p.m. and again in October. This is basically because we want to be able to get pills out of people's homes that they no longer use or they've expired, they just don't need, and keep them out of the hands of the children or people that just don't need them or people that abuse them.
That's right. It's a proper way to help get rid of those medications that are just taking up clutter in your medicine cabinets and that you don't really want lying around. You don't want people taking a hold of them and doing something with them that could be potentially very harmful. So what types of medications can be dropped off during the event, and are there any restrictions residents should be made aware of?
Well, we take everything except for liquids and syringes. We do not accept those. And not only do we do this here with the DEA twice a year, but at our police department, and I believe Orchard Lake as well, and there's many other departments that have collection sites. You can bring them any day of the year, anytime. We have a drop box in our lobby, and you can dispose of all of your medication there. Again, same thing, no liquids and no syringes. There's also boxes, I believe, at CVS and Walgreens locations near their pharmacies where you can dispose of the medications.
Awesome. Lots of great ways for everybody to properly dispose of those medications. And what role would you say does the West Bloomfield Police Department play in coordinating and overseeing this initiative?
Well, we have an officer that works with a DEA task force, so he's a part of that. And like I said, we not only, even if he wasn't in that unit, we have worked with them for years where we are a collection site. And across the state, there's actually 272 agencies that participate in this National Take Back Day, and with 201 actual collection locations. And I will tell you, for last year in October, they accumulated for both the April and October collection days, they had 314 tons collected.
Oh, wow.
So again, keeping, it's just a convenient way, even though we do take it all year round, it's just a convenient way. It's, it's more advertised so people are aware that it's there. But I mean, it's definitely worthwhile. If you have that extra medication lying around, you don't want it, you don't know what to do with it, you don't want to flush it, it's just a safe way to get rid of it.
Wow, over 300 tons of these medications. That's truly something that showcases just how impactful something like this is. And how has participation in previous drug take-back days impacted public safety and awareness in the West Bloomfield community?
Oh, I mean, think about it. If we're collecting 300 and 14 tons of medication just in the state, like imagine just West Bloomfield. And you don't even have to live in West Bloomfield to dispose of it. Really, it's anyone from any community can come here and dispose, and any collection site. If any other departments they have it, which there are others that do collect all year round, it's just a safe way to get rid of it. You're keeping it out of the hands of the kids, and you'll hear a lot from the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition organization, where they're constantly trying to advertise, hey, let's get rid of the medication. Let's keep it out of the hands of the children. We don't want them in our schools. We don't want kids getting them and selling them. So it's just a safe way to do it. And we're all about trying to get them out of the schools and out of the hands of kids, and not just the kids, but just users that don't, need to stay away from these medications.
And this is a very important way to help make sure that these drugs do stay out of kids' hands. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have police officer with the West Bloomfield Police Department, Zena Daly, joining us right now on the Splash to talk about the upcoming Drug Take-Back Day that's going to be taking place right here in West Bloomfield on Saturday, April 26th. Now, how does safely disposing of medications help prevent misuse, especially among teens and young adults?
Well, obviously, for keeping around the house, it's easy to get to. You go to the medicine cabinet, you have friends that come over, your kids go to other people's homes, they check the medicine cabinets, and they have easy access to it.
That's right. Lots of easy access in ways people might not realize. Like, even if you think you have them tucked away in a very safe spot, kids could snoop around. They could look in places
and they do. Yeah.
They absolutely do. They could look in places you don't expect them to, and then they could end up with something they should not be having. So why is it important to educate the public not only about prescription drug misuse, but also about environmental impacts of improper disposal?
Well, because exactly what you said, right? You don't want to flush it down the toilet, and now it's in our waters. It's in our earth, right? So we want to make sure that we're taking care of it safely.
That's right. All very important things to keep in mind. And what advice, Zena, do you have for families who may have unused or expired medications at home, but aren't sure what to do with them year-round?
Well, like I said, we have a box in our lobby 24 hours a day, all year round. Come by, drop it off. We have our public service aides at the front desk. They will help you if there's something that you're not sure if you can dispose of or not. Like I said, no liquids, no syringes. They'll take the bag from you, or you could throw it right into the box yourself. And I also want to add that the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition also did receive these from Oakland County. There are these lock boxes that are meant to store your medication. If you do have medication that you're keeping because you need them, obviously, but you want to find a safe way to store them, they have these convenient lock boxes. They are free, and we have them at the police department to pick up if you would like. They're pretty good size, and they have a lock where you can see right here. And not only that, but they also have lock bags. So you can come by and grab one of each or one or the other. It's up to you. But these are for medications that you do need at home, but you want to be able to make sure your kids don't get to it or no one else gets to it that's not supposed to.
That's right. Those are great resources to hang on to those medications that are very important that you don't want to end up in the hands of someone who doesn't need them.
Right.
And with things like this, the drug take-back event in West Bloomfield, how can residents continue supporting drug safety initiatives beyond just this event?
By talking about it and letting other people know. Word of mouth is always the best. You know someone that does have medication they need to get rid of, and they are holding on to it, not aware of that we have these boxes. Educate them, let them know that they can bring it here. They can drop it off anytime they want, not just on the National DEA Take Back Day.
All great information. Zena, I got one more quick question for you before we let you go. Where can people in Greater West Bloomfield and beyond go to learn a little bit more information about the drug take back day should they have some more questions?
You can go on our Facebook or Instagram pages. We'll have information on that, as well as the Greater West Bloomfield Community Coalition page. They have it advertised as well.
All great ways to stay informed and to stay up to date on this great resource to help get rid of those drugs and expired drugs in your household.
Right.
Zena, thank you so much for joining us today here on the Splash Live.
Have a great day.
All important information to keep in mind as Drug Take Back Day quickly approaches on April 26th. We appreciate Zena for taking the time to talk with us and about why this event is so important. One of the biggest and most recent developments within the West Bloomfield School District has been the new playground structures that were unveiled at Gretschko and Scotch Elementary School. These playgrounds were put together by the people at Auck Construction, who just recently were nominated for a 2025 Build Michigan Award program for excellence in construction. The nomination highlights the company's attention to detail, quality craftsmanship, and commitment to community-focused projects. Here to tell us more about the nomination and their impact in West Bloomfield, we have Auck Project Manager Russ Ragone joining us on The Splash. Russ, good morning.
Good morning, Jake.
Really happy to have you with us. First of all, congratulations on the nomination. This is an incredible honor for Auck Construction. Since the completion and unveiling of the playgrounds, what's been the feedback you've received from the school district and the community?
We've received a lot of positive feedback. I mean, the students and the teachers love the playgrounds, the community as well. I mean, very often in the late afternoons when school's out, as well as the weekends, the community children get to come on site and, play on the playground, take advantage of the new structures. They love it.
I'd imagine so. I was there during the ribbon cutting for the Gretschko playground when that was unveiled, and it's one of those playgrounds I wish I had when I was in elementary school. I would have had so much fun on that thing. I'm a little too big now, but I'm sure all the kids are having a blast. And
you and me both.
What specific aspects of the playground projects do you think caught the attention of the award committee?
A lot of it was just the involvement with the community, involving just Apple Island being a focal point of the West Bloomfield School District. There's a custom play structure modeled after Apple Island, and then just the extent and safety aspects of the project, making it one of the largest elementary school playground projects in the state.
One of the biggest in the state. That's an incredible milestone and a great record to have. And what does this nomination mean to you and mean to Auck Construction?
Well, it's an honor, and it really solidifies that Auck Construction is heavily involved with the construction industry. Especially the education sector. We actually get nominated for AGC awards. We have so many projects going on that, including with West Bloomfield right now, we can get into that in a minute, I suppose. But it means a lot to us. It showcases that Auck Construction is heavily involved with the industry local to the Metro Detroit area.
I'm so glad you just talked about that, because AUK has worked with the West Bloomfield School District on several projects, and not just the school district, but all throughout West Bloomfield. How has this partnership with the city and the school district evolved over the years, would you say?
Oh, it's over the years. I mean, it's just, we've been working with West Bloomfield schools for nearly 20 years on lots of different projects of all different sizes. We've built a trust with West Bloomfield School District. They understand that we are we have a lot of integrity. We're very forthright with the information that we have. The contractors that we work with are of high quality. We're always looking into the owner's best interest, as well as the community. And I think that really has a lot to do with why we continue to work with West Bloomfield School District. They enjoy working with us, and we're providing them with, turning over, completing high quality projects for them that the community loves.
For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have AUK Project Manager Russ Vergone joining us on the Splash to talk about AUK Construction's recent nomination for a Build Michigan Award for their work on constructing the Gretschko and Scotch playgrounds. And how does AUK Construction ensure that projects like this one align with the West Bloomfield School District's vision for student development and community engagement?
Well, we work with the architect and the school district to implement surveys to, the staff that are at the school that's involved with any particular project that we're, moving forward with starting up, as well as the community. Like with the playground projects, I mean, there was a lot of community involvement. There were some meetings with the community on, what they wanted to see with the playground, what kind of structures, were there, kids of special needs that need certain types of structures included with the playground project, and not just playground structures, but different areas like, musical playground area. Some of the playgrounds have more open space for, kids to play on grassy areas and things like that. So it's not just the playground, like traditional structures that you see in these playgrounds, but extensively also larger play areas and greenscapes.
Wow, a lot of great things that are developing with the school district, and a lot of great resources that come with these immersive playgrounds that have taken home at Gretschko and Scotch. And given the success of these playgrounds, Russ, does AUK have any upcoming projects planned with West Bloomfield School District that you can disclose?
Yes, absolutely. So actually, we just turned over the transitions program over at the West Bloomfield High School. That was a great success, and we had the ribbon cutting, I believe it was just a couple weeks ago.
That's right.
So that's to help with the high school students and community with transitioning from into society. We also are actively working on the new Chico Elementary School. And then in design development and planning, we have the new Doherty Elementary School, as well as a STEM edition at West Bloomfield High School.
Awesome. AUK is keeping busy and working all throughout West Bloomfield and helping the school district. And of course, I'm sure the AUK team is celebrating this nomination the best way they can. What does this mean for your company's future in the industry?
Well, every year, I mean, we've been growing in the industry, especially in the education sector. We're currently working with, I believe it's 16, 17 different school districts across the state of Michigan. And our successes and our quality of work are, just the trustworthiness that we have with the school districts. We're being recommended from school districts to work with other districts, which is contributing to our growth. And it's just showcasing that AUK is just a solid construction management firm for the education sector, as well as other sectors that we work in, healthcare and some others, municipal sectors, and making a statement into the construction industry in Metro Detroit that AUK should be considered, and we'd love to work with other communities.
Awesome. Russ, thank you so much for joining us on The Splash. Just a couple more quick questions before we let you
Sure.
go. What do you think makes AUK, I think you touched on this a little bit a second ago, what do you think makes AUK Construction such a trusted partner for the school district, and how did that trust play a role in the success of these projects?
Well, I would say a big part of it is our vast experience, and we do what we need to, what we say we're going to do. You know, we complete projects on time, under budget many times, and you know, I think we just build trust, you know, with not just school districts, but also private sector entities, you know, with their projects. And, you know, with the building of trust and just our experience, that's really, you know, paved the way for us.
It certainly has. Russ, any final words you want to say in regards to the nomination and your feelings on everything?
Well, I just want to thank you and just West Bloomfield School District. I loved working with West Bloomfield School District. I look forward to working with them in the future. And, you know, just happy to be part of the community. Thank you very much for having me today.
And we thank you for all of the great work that you are doing for the West Bloomfield School District. Russ, thank you for stopping by here on the Splash Live.
Thank you very much.
Always happy to hear about all of the success and all the big happenings happening right here in Greater West Bloomfield. Can't wait to see what's to come with AUK Construction with their Build Michigan Award nomination. Hopefully they can take that award home. We've got plenty other great stories and topics to get into right after this commercial break. Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.
We'll be right back with the Splash Live.
Hi, I'm Marcia Gershenson, and I'm one of the Oakland County Commissioners that's lucky enough to represent West Bloomfield. And I'd like to congratulate Civic Center TV on having 1 million viewers on YouTube. I mean, that's incredible. Your viewpoint and your authenticity is so valuable. So congratulations on 1 million views. I'm proud to be one in a million.
When it comes to making plans, you are the best. What about those barbecues you plan in detail for your family? Moments, start planning to protect you and your loved ones from a natural disaster. Sign up for local weather and emergency alerts. Prepare an emergency kit and make a family communications plan. Protecting your family is the best plan you can make.
This is Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. On cable and the radio. On the web too, and on social media. Civic Center TV, television that's close to home.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move. So I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Find local municipal meetings at our program schedule on civiccentertv.com. Find when your meetings air live or when they're replaying on our Civic Center TV live stream. Find it all at civiccentertv.com and click schedule at the top of the screen. And now, back to the Splash Live.
Live, local, social. It's the Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM. I'm your host, Jake Schaff, going over all of the biggest news and events from right here in Greater West Bloomfield. As we know, April is Autism Awareness Month. Around 1% of the world's population is on the autism spectrum in some form, myself included. I was diagnosed with Asperger's syndrome at a very young age, and it's never been something I've tried to hide. It doesn't define me, but it's part of who I am. All throughout the month, people have been taking the opportunity to continue to educate the general public on autism and to help them understand it a little more. Joining me now on the Splash Live is Chitori Edrisina, an associate professor of human development and child studies with Oakland University. Chitori, good morning.
Hi, Jake. Good morning.
Really, really happy to have you with us and very, very excited to be getting into this conversation. First and foremost, what first inspired your interest in autism and human development, and how has your perspective evolved over the years?
Well, I got involved with autism at a very young age. I was an undergraduate student at Trinity College at Oxford University. And my professor in experimental psychology asked me if I would work with a young man that he knew. And not knowing anything and being very, very young, I said yes. And it turned out that this young man had autism, but severe autism, and he was nonverbal. And I had no idea about autism, but I started talking to him and trying to work with him, and I wasn't getting anywhere. And I realized very quickly that I needed to build some kind of relationship with him. And I'm very, very short, and he was very, very tall. And we decided that we'll play basketball, so he'll have some success. And it went really well. We were able to connect, and I really just fell in love with the field, and I saw some real results with real people, which was very different to working with, pigeons. So I realized that this was definitely my passion, and it's been such a joy. I've been working in the field for about 25 years now.
Wow, and it's clear that all of that passion and hard work has been put to great use. How do you approach teaching students about autism in a way that goes beyond textbook and truly builds empathy and understanding?
That's a great question, Jake. So Oakland, we have a master's program in special education, and it's a program where students can graduate with a master's in autism spectrum disorders, as well as receive some certificates in autism. And so it's really important for us to make sure that our students have an experiential learning component. So we do a lot of work with the teachers who are already teaching in the classrooms across the state of Michigan in special ed and autism classrooms. So they're already working with persons with autism and on children and families. So we try to kind of do a lot of fieldwork experience. We use a lot of videos and things like that. And we have people coming in and just connecting with families. So that's been one way to kind of approach the spectrum through life stories, through research and writing.
Of course, all very, very impactful ways to understand people, understand what they're going through. Can you talk about the diversity of the autism spectrum and why it's important to avoid these one-size-fits-all assumptions?
That's a fantastic question, Jake. And as you know, I think one of the misconceptions of autism is that it's kind of almost this dichotomy of either very high-functioning savants like people where they have extreme knowledge and kind of in a very specialized area, or they are nonverbal and very low cognition. And this is not the case. Autism is a spectrum. So you have everyone in that spectrum. It's a wonderful umbrella. You have everyone from that savant, which is very rare, to people who are functioning regularly in society. They may be married, they may be your banker, and they may be able to have really wonderful jobs and integrate well with society, but they still have those social deficits to someone on the other side of the spectrum where they are struggling. And then you have average folks out there who have autism and they need a little bit of support, perhaps a lot of support in social skills, and then moderate supports in cognition.
That's absolutely right. There are very different forms of autism. You see it everywhere. I have a more high-functioning form of autism, but I still have some issues here and there perceiving social cues, and that can sometimes trip me up a little bit, but I've learned to navigate it very well. And you touched on this just a little bit ago. what role do cultural perceptions and family dynamics play in how autism is understood and supported?
Oh, I think believe that culture plays a massive role in autism and the perception of autism. In some communities, even in the United States, it's still very taboo to speak about autism. And in others, it's purely seen through either a medical lens or a spiritual lens. So you have this kind of family dynamics and family values playing a huge role. Also, in immigrant and multilingual households, it's really difficult to kind of navigate that diagnosis and understand what types of services to provide families whose cultural understanding of autism may somewhat differ from the clinical understanding or our current perspective of autism, which is, of course, growing and always changing. But to kind of approach that from a cultural framework is really important. So we try very, very hard to understand the perspective of the family and to kind of meet the family where they're at instead of trying to dictate our values. So support is really important, but we need to kind of build trust with those cultures and different cultures and perspectives.
Absolutely. Getting the family's perspective is very, very important, and support is the most important thing. For those just joining us right now on the Splash Live, we have Oakland University Professor Chitori Edrisinha, Associate Professor of Human Development and Child Studies, joining us right now on the Splash Live for Autism Awareness Month. And Chitori, what are some practical steps that the average person can take to be more inclusive and supportive of autistic individuals in their community?
That's another great question. I think we can start by listening. That's really important, without judgment and without assumptions. And also without the assumption that you need to fix something. So again, meeting the person where they are, and also not having a lot of pressure on the kind of societal understandings of what communication may look like. Lots of times, one of the co-diagnostic features of autism is that persons with autism may not be comfortable making eye contact, for example. So those little small things can make a huge difference. And if you are a neurotypical, then not putting that kind of pressure on someone to make direct eye contact with you and kind of sustain that would be a good starting point. And then kind of being mindful and cognizant of the kind of sensory issues that the other person might have. Using inclusive language is another practical thing that you can do. And just to kind of understand that your typical expectations may not be met, and to be open to that.
That's absolutely right. Mindfulness is important, and patience is important as well to help an autistic individual deal with what they have to deal with. Are there any emerging research trends or tools in the field of autism studies that you're particularly excited about right now?
Right now, I'm very excited about using like technology as well as things like AI to kind of support my families as well as my individuals with autism. It has helped to kind of leverage some of the language barriers that we've found, or not. Again, we talked about not having the kind of social nuances. So it kind of helps. I think AI has kind of helped to kind of ease that a little bit. So I'm really excited to see where that goes. I'm kind of humbled by the research that's happening out there. And I think it would really make a difference going forward.
I think so as well. And one of the things I've seen within the last few years is these discussions are becoming much more prominent, and we're seeing autism discussed more and more throughout other forms of media and pop culture. How do you think those have influenced public understanding of autism, for better or worse?
It used to be that a lot of the media coverage of autism, like, for example, the Sherlock Holmes, when you have Benedict Cumberbatch or Sheldon Cooper in Big Bang Theory, they tend to kind of portray a very high-functioning savant type of autism. And I think that has really given a misconception of the public understanding of what high functioning autism may look like, without conveying also the struggles of those folks. So I think that has changed somewhat in the last few years. We've seen things that are just a little bit more, I guess, prevalent in the public. So you have a lot of other countries also really putting out fantastic stuff, like a lot of the K-dramas, the Korean movie network has done some fantastic stuff where they're really looking at a more nuanced understanding of autism and portraying that on screen, not just the kind of hypergenius savant autism. So there's some stuff on Netflix, I think, like The Good Doctor, or It's Okay to Be Not Okay. I think there was another one, I think, Extraordinary Attorney Woo. Not that I'm trying to highlight those particular ones, but they tend to portray a little bit more nuanced approach to autism, where they're portraying some of the challenges that folks on the spectrum encounter on a daily basis. So I think that's very promising to have that kind of holistic global perspective of autism.
All fantastic examples, and I've seen some examples even through other mediums like reality TV. One of my favorite shows, Survivor, there was an incident a couple weeks ago with a contestant who was who has autism, who was dealing with an episode in the middle of a challenge and was getting very overwhelmed. And when she had achieved it, there was a very beautiful moment with another castaway who was helping to calm her down and to help her through her episode. So I think you're absolutely right. We are seeing much more high-profile awareness of autism, and it's being executed beautifully. Chatori, I got a couple more quick questions for you before we let you go. During Autism Awareness Month, what messages or actions do you hope people will reflect on or take with them throughout the rest of the year?
I think awareness is a good starting point, but we really do need action. I really hope that people start advocating for more accessible environments, including inclusive employment, livable wage, and things like lifelong support, with the understanding that persons with autism need to be met where they're at. And so I'm hoping that we really come together in a call of action and not move away, not just from symbolic gestures, but to a place where we can sustain efforts for persons with autism and improve their quality of life and meet them where they're at in those needs.
I love everything you just said, all very important things to keep in mind with somebody with autism. Chatori, what advice would you give to students or young professionals interested in pursuing a career in autism research or advocacy?
I think they have to be open and also to be a little bit creative. It used to be that if you were interested in working with the disabilities and developmental disabilities, you go either into neuropsychology or you go into special education or you become a clinician in terms of getting a degree in behavior analysis and supporting kids with autism as well as adults in those kind of narrow fields. And now we find that that is not the case. Persons with autism can be supported and in all kinds of ways, and they do need those supports. And some of them may not be as traditional roles of a clinician, teacher, psychologist, but maybe just, beyond those roles. Like I just mentioned employment. I think we really need that kind of advocacy in employment, in transition, especially also for adults with autism in terms of like living independently. And we haven't really thought about what those supports might look like. And I think we've really come to a place in our understanding as well as our advocacy where those issues are really things that we need to start talking about and making some real changes.
Absolutely right. All very, very important things to keep in mind. Chatori, last question before we let you go. Where can people go to learn a little bit more information about understanding autism?
In Michigan, we have some wonderful agencies, and so you can kind of start with the Michigan Autism Awareness Agency. If you want to know about Oakland's program, you can look at our website. It's in oakland.edu. If you're looking for a clinician or if you're needing support or clinical services, the BACB website is available, and that's a wonderful resource because it lists every single board certified behaviorist on that website. So if you're looking for a clinician, that would be the best place to start.
All right, great resources and a great place to start. Chatori, thank you so much for joining us today on the Splash Live and for having this conversation.
My pleasure. Take care, Jake, and be well.
You too as well. Very important conversation to have throughout April for Autism Awareness Month. As I said, this has a very personal connection to myself, and it's important for as many people as possible to have this information and to know what to do when talking to somebody with autism who might not be as high functioning as some other people, and to navigate their challenges and to make sure that everyone is okay. So we really appreciate you, Chatori, for coming by and for talking to us on the Splash Live. A West Bloomfield singer has put together an amazing album of children's songs, all with a jazz-inspired twist. Jessie Palter, a West Bloomfield native, has won multiple Detroit Music Awards and released 3 albums. As a jazz and pop artist, she recorded 17 original children's songs in New Orleans, starting with the Jazz ABCs. Here, Jessie was recently on the Splash Live. I spoke with her to hear all about her latest projects and what it's like to put this music together for the kids. We have Jessie Palter, a singer-songwriter right here in West Bloomfield. Jessie, good morning.
Hi, good morning. Thanks so much for having me here.
Absolutely. Really happy to be getting into this. Really love talking about music and great programs like this. So talk about a bit of your influences. How has growing up in West Bloomfield influenced your musical journey and your career choices?
So I grew up in a very musical household, which naturally just being exposed to a wide array of music from a really young age, I was like a sponge, just trying to listen and explore and discover everything. And then I would say getting involved in all sorts of musical theater, community theater. I went to at a middle school, which I believe is no longer. And I was involved in the specialty performing arts programs there. And then ultimately being close to Detroit. I grew up really when I came of age was going downtown, performing in the jazz clubs, performing with the real deal Detroit musicians. So definitely West Bloomfield influence and absolutely undeniably and so gratefully Detroit.
Awesome. I mean, absolutely. Growing up near a city like Detroit, you have access to so much incredible music and so many great influences. And it's awesome to see just what you've been able to take that knowledge and be able to do, because you did create Tunesies. And how do you see that program benefiting children and families in Greater West Bloomfield?
So I started Coonsies when I was living in Los Angeles, which is where I lived for 12 years. And it was during the pandemic when gigs were canceled. My touring had come to a halt. I really sort of need to figure out a way to not only keep my vocal mechanism warm, but also just like as a creative, I'm constantly itching to create. My best friend had just had a baby, and she asked if I would sing to her baby and her baby's pop, which I wasn't familiar with at the time, and I couldn't think of a reason that I should say no. So I showed up, and it was really this aha moment. I just realized that the children's music lane was sort of a wide open creative lane. All of the songs that parents wanted to sing, caregivers wanted to sing with their little ones, the same songs that I sang when I was a child, that parents sang. Wheels on the Bus and Itsy Bitsy Spider as a composer and somebody that grew up studying. I'm a jazz vocalist and a composer and I really grew up studying the Great American Songbook. So when somebody says standards, that is a very familiar term for me. And I said, who's really updating these, children's standards? And so I was super inspired to, and I'm not only inspired, but like I felt very much a responsibility to sort of nurture this wide open lane. And then when I had my own child, I wanted to create the music experience that I would want my child to have. So fast forward, I am now living back in Detroit. And I have brought my program, which I've been working on and building curriculum for since 2020. I brought it here, and I am so grateful to be teaching pretty much 6 days a week, sometimes 3 times a day, all over Detroit, Metro Detroit. Um, Various age groups. And it feels to me like a responsibility, like a calling, but like very organic and inspired. I get such joy having performed for audiences all over the world. It is so joyful to be around human beings at their earliest musical experiences and to be able to experience that through them. Um, Thank you.
Wow, that is all incredible to hear. I love hearing about those aha moments because sometimes they come at the most unexpected of times. And it's great to see how you've been able to take advantage of that. And like I said, you've got some great stuff in the works. You've got an album that's going to be coming out very, very soon. And you've got something called the Jazz ABCs, one of those songs on the album. How does songs like that introduce kids to jazz? And what impact do you hope it has on early childhood music education?
This album that I recorded was recorded in New Orleans, and I really wanted New Orleans spirit to be all over the music. I worked with unbelievable musicians, some of my heroes, and I was afforded the opportunity to record this album through a grant from an organization called South Arts Grant Organization. And I knew that I wanted to incorporate a song that was sort of bridging all of the different influences that have made me the artist that I am today. So people still actually, I think one of the number one children's songs is the ABC song, the alphabet song. And it really hasn't been updated. It's been around for centuries. And I was driving to teach one day, and it hit me just like a ton of bricks. The song pretty much fell out of me. I grabbed my phone to record it, and in full, there's actually a video clip that is on my Instagram and my social media of me just like being the conduit of writing the Jazz ABCs, and then recording it with this masterful jazz studio band in New Orleans is extremely special. I really think that we captured not only the fundamentals of jazz from like a theoretical standpoint, but also from an execution of the musician's playing standpoint. That it's a top-notch band. One of my favorite saxophonists of all time, Joel Fromm, played on it. It just so happened that he was on tour in New Orleans and he took a solo. So you're exposing children to improvisation and really all of the instrumentation, orchestration of a jazz group. And these are sounds that are really palatable for little kids, but it's not as common as you would think. So my hope is that kids learn their ABCs through alliterated jazz fundamentals, which is what this song is, while being exposed to like the very authentic jazz.
Awesome. And again, working in an environment like New Orleans where jazz is in their blood. I mean, that's got to be incredible. And I know you touched on it a little bit, but what was it like being in that environment and how do you feel that it helped to shape that project?
I think it completely shaped the project. It was very much this serendipitous week of what I believe is capturing lightning in a bottle. Everything just kind of worked out. Even the things that like didn't feel like they were working out in the moment all happened for a reason. Um, and the playful, improvisational, joyful essence of the city of New Orleans is all over this music from start to finish. And that is really the language of children is play. And that's really the language, music is the language of tunesies, but it's a play-based method. So I felt like we completely accomplished and all the pieces just sort of fell into place. So I'm so grateful for that. I really felt like we accomplished what we set out to do and more. And it was a wonderful start finish creative experience.
For those just joining us right now on The Splash, we have singer-songwriter Jessie Palter joining us right now to talk about her many programs that she's doing, and she's influenced by the great work in New Orleans and the Detroit music scene to benefit for her music program Tunesies and her original compositions. In fact, you also, along with the work you do for kids, you also released an album called Nothing Standard, a deeply personal jazz album featuring your own compositions. What was the process in returning to your jazz roots for an album like Nothing Standard?
So I think for a while when I was living in Los Angeles, I just had the desire to explore whatever sort of naturally kind of creatively inspired me. I don't really think of music in terms of genre, but it's a little different with jazz because it's the language that I studied. I went to school for jazz. I was at University of Michigan School of Music as the sole vocal jazz major for my year. Um, and I had gotten away from it a little bit. I was working with a record label and I was releasing stuff in a singer songwriter lane, which was also very deep personal to me. But when I parted ways with the record label and started reclaiming who I am as an artist, as an independent artist, it was integral to me for that process to also honor my roots as a jazz vocalist. And I had worked with the musicians on that album. I collaborated on the compositions with a longtime collaborator, Michael Jellick, who was my music director for many years and pianist, and also a bit of a mentor, a teacher. I learned a ton about music and harmony through working with Mike. And it was important to really honor all of the work that we had together. So I released that album, I think, in 2022. And it ended up just really sort of hit off more than I could have anticipated, which I'm so grateful for. And was just really a reminder to like honor who you are as an artist and really trust your own artistic integrity.
Well, happy to hear about all of the success that came from this incredible album. And Jessie, I do want to ask, as you've hopped around quite a bit, you've been in Los Angeles, you've been in New Orleans, now that you're back here in Detroit, how do you see yourself continuing to contribute to the local music scene?
I think being a Detroit musician is so important to who I am as an artist. So no matter where I go, no matter where I've been as a performer, people always say, "Oh, where do you learn to sing with such soul?" And the answer is always Detroit. It's Detroit, and it's musicians that I grew up with, and the teachers that I had that really shaped me, and the experiences in the bandstand that I had that shaped me. Now that I'm back here and really nurturing, who I am as an artist and all of the many facets. Um, I never want to hinder that very innate part of me that is a Detroit musician, which I don't think I ever did hinder, but I just really want to like shine a light on all the different facets of who I am. And again, feeling a tremendous responsibility to really nurture the future generations, specifically with this Tunesies project. So I am all around Detroit and Metro Detroit, working with kids and really trying to sort of share my passion and my joy and all the tools that I've learned as an artist to help the future generation explore them, who they are creatively and foster a love of music within them.
Well, it's amazing to hear of everything that you're doing, Jessie. One more quick question before we let you go. How can the West Bloomfield community support your work with Tunesies and your larger musical projects?
Thank you for asking. I am so grateful for the hometown support. I have a website, Tunesies, TUNEZIES.com. And I post all about my classes and my method. People can register through there. I'm also on all the social media platforms. So Instagram /Tunesies and Facebook /Tunesies. And I am now on all the digital streaming platforms with this music as we release song after song every 6 weeks. We're releasing a new single. So Jazz ABC is out, and the next single coming out March 15th. So people can look online at their favorite digital streaming platform, YouTube included, because it is not only an auditory album, it's also a visual album. And so there's an animation for every single song. People can also listen and watch on YouTube at Tunesies, and search on Spotify and Apple Music and Amazon Music and Deezer and Tidal under Tunesies as well. And on the website as well, there's also an email address to contact me. And this has been just built from, it's been built for the community. It's really like me wanting to be of service with all the tools that I use as a musician and as a lifelong creative professional. So I really love hearing from everybody and getting feedback and just hearing what people want, what they need. It's been integral to building this community.
Well, we can't wait to see what's to come next with your incredible music journey. Jessie, thank you so much for joining us today on The Splash Live.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been wonderful chatting, and I appreciate the support.
Very exciting projects with Jessie Palter and many more to come in the future. We appreciate her joining us on The Splash Live. But that is going to do it for us today on the program. I want to say a big thank you to all of our guests and for everybody on the team for what they do to help make this show what it is. I've been your host, Jake Schaff. Live, local, social. It's The Splash Live on Civic Center TV and 89.3 Lakes FM.